My PhD project is about the 1913 statue of Fridtjov on the Sognefjord in Norway. The statue was a gift from Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany to the Norwegian people. It is reminiscent of German national monuments such as this one for Kaiser Wilhelm I in Porta Westfalica. Specifically, there are many similarities between Fridtjov and the statue of Hermann the Karaska in the Teutoburg forest. According to Tacitus, Hermann or Arminius in 9 AD beat the Roman legions and thus kept Germany German. What unites all these monuments is their embeddedness in nature. Sometimes nature even becomes the national monument, such as here at the Eksternsteine. The questions I want to answer in my dissertation are why the Kaiser may have chosen this gift and why it failed as a national monument for Norwegians, how the Kaiser's homosocial relationship with his friend Eulenburg contributed to the creation of the monument, and finally, whether to approach these monuments as venues of entertainment might be more productive than inscribing them with political or psychological motives. Another important question concerning Fridtjov is how I can use it as an excuse to make as many European road trips as possible. Early this month I drove from Holland to my home in Rome and visited as much Wilhelmine sculpture on the way as I could fit in. I started at Huis Doorn, the Kaiser's exile in Holland, where he lived from 1919 until his death in 1941. Really happy to have found this group of sculpture. It's called The Fisher, or The Fisher and the Siren, by Max Unger. And Max Unger is also, of course, the sculptor of the Fridtjov. My next stop on my tour is here at Kassel, where I'm about to visit the Hercules monument. The Kaiser spent most of his youth at the palace here at Kassel, Schloss Wilhelmshöhe, and he must therefore have been intimately familiar with the Hercules statue. And there's the Hercules. It sits on top of a really huge monumental support that's called the octagon, which is a bit grotto-like, and the whole thing was conceived around 1700, so that's in the days of Louis XIV, for example, by the then ruler of the region of Kassel, Landgrave Karl, and he put the Hercules on top of this structure because he saw Hercules as an allegory of his own qualities as a ruler, showing power, intelligence and courage. And the first foreign statue that Kaiser Wilhelm commissioned was the Goethe monument in Rome, and that was done by Gustav Eberlein. And here I am trying to find what has been called Eberlein's finest work, a statue of God breathing life into Adam. Meanwhile, across the border into what used to be East Germany, we're in the state of Thuringia, and we're on the way to the Kiefhäuser Denkmal. So I'm in the parking lot of the hotel at the foot of the monument, and the interesting thing is that the architect Bruno Schmitz, who we will see again in Leipzig, or his work at least we will see again in Leipzig, completed the hotel before the monument was even ready. So these places have always had a dual role. They were a monument to the nation, but they were very much also tourist attractions. I must be mad, but here I am at the Kiefhäuser monument. It's snowing, the camera is blowing out of my hands, but I just wanted to show you this. In the middle you see Kaiser Barbarossa hewn into the red stone that is natural to this region, and above that there's the Kaiser called Whitebeard, so Wilhelm I on his horse. And good morning. The next stop on this pan-German road trip is Leipzig, and I'm here to see the Villersbrunnen. You can't believe how happy I am that I've been able to come here and see this beautiful little figure. It's such a relief and such a contrast to see this delicate statue of Hélène de Villers, also by Max Unger, when contrasted with all the bombastic monuments that we've seen so far. Now on towards my next stop, which is also in Leipzig, and which is the incredibly bombastic, to use that word again, Völkerschlachtdenkmal, or Monument to the Battle of Nations. And I'm really curious what you think about it. So, why am I here? Why does the Monument to the Battle of Nations fascinate me so much? It was groundbreakingly modern, which is often the case with when we look at the Wilhelmine era. There's very traditional culture and extremely avant-garde technology. This may be a good time to talk about monumental effect, because I remember coming here last time, so 20 years ago, and I was talking to my friend who's an art historian, what it would take to blow it up. I was so affected by the monstrosity of it, by the sheer overwhelming size, by the brutality, that all I could think about was how to get rid of a monument like this. My next stop after Leipzig is another monument that has to do with the Napoleonic Wars. The difference is that the one we've seen before, the Völkerschlachtdenkmal, is to celebrate the liberation of Germany from Napoleon, and the monument at Vierzehnheiligen commemorates the fallen. So here we are at Vierzehnheiligen, at the war memorial for the 1806 Battle of Jena, created by Max Unger. And thoughtfully, the local tourist board has provided a sign which shows all the important places of the battle. And from the sign we can see that the monument here at Vierzehnheiligen was actually the Hauptdenkmal, so the main monument to the battle. Let's take a look. The next stop is a long way away. We're still tracing Max Unger, and the next work, and also the final work that we'll try and find, is the monument to Kaiser Wilhelm I in Ulm. And Ulm is right on the edge between Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria, so I've got a long drive ahead of me. The sun's coming out. What I like about this statue is its stance. So here we have none of the heroicism of Unger's statue of Fridtjov, but the Kaiser is standing there in an almost contemplative way. I must say that the Kaiser statue is located at a funny location. It's at a busy intersection in the center of Ulm, and there's a kind of pedestrian underpass just below his feet, so he's sort of looking down into a concrete grotto. I suppose at the end of all this I should come to some kind of conclusion. What has become clear is that Max Unger mastered a number of artistic idioms, and that the way the Fridtjov looks, heroic, dramatic, excessive, is part Kaiser, partly the era, and very little Unger.